to another episode of Inspire Every Life. Today, we are going to jump right on into it, ladies and gentlemen, and we're going to talk about the money trap. That's right, the money trap. So, the Bible is clear that money follows instruction, not intention. And where am I getting that from? In Matthew 28, it says that they followed the instructions regarding money. So if that's true, good intentions don't actually build wealth. Good habits do. Instructions do. And most of us were never really given clear instructions on what to do after the tithe. So what do you actually do with the 80%, the 90%, after you have given to a charitable organization? Some people also know to give 10% to their 401k plan, to their IRA, investments, etc. Some people know to get multiple real estate. For example, short-term real estate, long-term real estate. So some people are doing that, which is good. But what are you actually doing? Let's take a moment and think about that. What are you actually doing with your money? And so when I said that in Matthew 18, let me be clear. So Matthew 28:15 reveals that this principle about money, they took the money, so the money that God had given them, they took it, right? And did as they were taught. So once again, we in the church, or we as believers know, and most people know this in terms of philanthropic giving, right? Perhaps you give to your local community food bank. Perhaps you're giving to missions, perhaps missions organizations out of the country. But the majority of people are spending the majority of their earnings out there on things like vehicles, entertainment, and so on and so forth. But what happens when you are not growing wealth? You are just robbing Peter to pay Paul. And what happens when you continue to do that year after year after year? As I stated before, kingdom economics is more than just us four and no more. It's not just about your family. It's about what you do with all of it. You know that parable in the Bible, it talks about how when there was a master and he gave 3 of his servants according to their ability. So he gave one person 1 talent. He gave another person 2 talents. He gave another 5 talents. And they were told and instructed by the master, I'm going to go away, but make sure you invest the money. And when I come back, I'll see what you've done with it. So there was one person, the person who was given the 5, he quickly went into the marketplace and he didn't eat the seed. He invested the seed. The other person who was given 2 talents, he too did not eat the seed. He invested the seed. The other person who was given 1 talent, they actually hid the seed. And they made a judgment call to say, well, I know how shrewd and prudent the master can be, and I don't want to offend him, and I'm going to go just hide it. So when he comes back, I'll give him what he has. So he hid it. So when the master comes back, you all know the story. He sees, oh, well, the one who had 5 talents, he said, wow, I've doubled your money, sir. And he was like, great, go over here. Enter into the pleasure of the Lord. Good and faithful servant you are. The second person who had the 2 talents, he doubled the investment. And he said, well done, thy faithful servant. Enter into the pleasure of the Lord, of your master. The last person, now he had to come up with an excuse because he knew, he was like, wait a minute, they doubled the money. I don't know what to say. And so what I'll do is I'll blame it on you. See, that's what people do when they don't want to take 100% accountability for where they are in their lives. They blame it on someone else. They're pointing the finger at this person while they have 3 other fingers pointing back at themselves. And so they make excuses Perhaps they blame their parents, or they blame the neighborhood they came from, or the country, or the fact that they're a woman, or the fact that they are of this persuasion, racially, or whatever it might be. They blame the system. They blame how the cards are stacked up against me. While those might be factors, that's not the only factor. May I suggest to you that you might be the very person that's standing in your way of your own progress if you yourself does what this person is doing, blaming someone else. And you know what he goes on to say is, I knew, my master, you were a shrewd person, so rather than me do anything with it, I just hid it, and here's what you gave me. And he said, you are a wicked servant and lazy. And he called him wicked, y'all. Wicked, that's the terminology that he used. That he said that you were so wicked. At least if you put my money that I asked you to invest into a bank, you could have got the 2% interest. And then I would have, then been able to see that you at least tried something. And so he said, I'm going to take this 1 talent of yours. I'm going to give it to the person who doubled the money, the 5 that went into the 10. And you are not a good and faithful servant, and you will not enter into the pleasure of the Lord. I say that as an antidote because often we are earning an income, and what we do is we might put 10% away in our savings, right? For a rainy day. We might put 10% into a charitable community nonprofit, right? Whether it's your church, or whether it's the food bank, or a mission outside of your country or in your country. But you don't understand the distinction between your seed being bread versus your seed that needs to be invested. So, and ultimately what happens, I find, when I talk to people about money issues that they might be having, we're letting culture teach us how to spend our money, eat our seed, and stay locked into debt, consumer debt, mortgage debt, car debt. And we're not being as faithful as we can be as stewards. See, you and I are meant to be stewards in the kingdom when it comes to financial wealth, financial management. Before we can get to the wealth, we need to be able to manage it well. So it's interesting because many people take their personal cash and that they get and spend it and don't ever see a return. There's really no investments that people are making. So income, I want to introduce this as a thought, that your income is a seed. It's not your harvest. The old mindset treats income as something that needs to be consumed. You make it, therefore you can spend it and enjoy it how you want. The kingdom mindset actually says your income is something to be planted. And I just gave you the parable. To plant it, multiply it, steward it, and allow it to produce more than what you have. And that more than what you have, it could be called a dividend. That's what you're supposed to be spending, not the actual money, right? So that there's a distinction between what you are using in terms of money that is being spent and money that should be planted. And this brings me to this point that sometimes we have to unlearn what we've learned about our relationship with money. So what are some mindsets, some thought processes that you've had about money? Did you grow up in a family where there was more month than there was money? Did you grow up in a family hearing that there was always not enough? Did you grow up in a family where there was scarcity and lack? And somehow, some way, even though you're not in survival mode, you might be, that's the type of mindset that you have. You could actually be considered living on the poverty limit and not have a poverty mindset. I'll say that again. You can actually not be making much money and yet have an abundant mindset. Or the opposite could be true. You could be making an extraordinary amount of money and still be poor. I have had all kinds of people around me that were in both categories, but I will dare say that most people that I have grown up with or knew actually still suffer from a poverty mindset and not an abundant one. So the humble, right? The humble will unlearn. They'll destruct some things in order to learn some new things and admit that the mindset that they have is not working for them. This mindset of surviving, right? This mindset of scarcity that gets you to a place where you're just getting by. So you've got to unlearn some of those things. And it's not to say that the people in our family or what they thought was necessarily harmful, but it becomes bad to you when you cannot grow, scale, and accumulate more for yourself, for your family, and for what God has for you to do. So the wise, in the book of James, it talks about, if you don't have wisdom, you can ask it of God and he'll give it to you liberally. So the wise are able to relearn through the mistakes that they've made, through missing the mark. Failure isn't the opposite of progress in this particular framework of the kingdom. It is the raw material. So every misstep that you've ever made with money, I'm not asking you to regret it. I'm asking you to learn from it and understand what your patterns have been and address it. Theory alone, right? Someone just speaking to you alone is not going to help you in your day-to-day life. You actually have to put some application to that. The wise don't avoid failure. They extract the lesson and they keep building. As a steward that takes good instruction, they begin to build an architect. They begin to build the architect in their mind and begin to develop an abundant money mindset. So you have to deconstruct some things that were lodged in there and unlearn some things so that you can learn some new things. So this idea of construction phase is not a one and done single decision. It's a structure that helps you to build system, that creates boundaries and good habits that will discipline some of your spending to make you a good steward. And eventually what will happen, you'll have sustainable growth, not just a one-time solution, but you'll continue to grow. And it doesn't just fade in a month or two, it'll continue. See, I truly believe that we're living in the precipice of one of the greatest opportunities that we've seen in a long time for wealth building opportunities. So it might feel like the flow of provision in your life has stopped or is drying up, but the real issue isn't the lack of provision, it's the lack of proper systems and strategies. So provision without systems and strategies, they leak. So it doesn't matter if you're making $200,000 to $300,000 or $1 million. Without the proper structure for where your money should go, every dollar should have an assignment. I'll say that again. Every dollar that comes into your wheelhouse, that comes into your storehouse, should have an assignment. So structure can then turn into provision that could then turn into legacy. This is your inspirational moment with